here today to present a second segment on techniques for reducing stress. We already did this one time before where we laid out 5 of our most favorite techniques. And today we're going to present a few more, this time of high stress, the COVID-19 virus, etc. So there's a lot of stress bothering people, which is very understandable. So Karla and I are going to present you with some more techniques on how you might deal with that stress. As previously, if you only find one of them helpful, that's perfectly fine. We're not expecting that all of these will be helpful to you, but we're just presenting the ones that we find to be helpful in our own lives and for our patients and our clients. And so with that, I'm going to pass you over to Karla.
If you find one of these techniques helpful, we're just, it's like a sampler that we're doing today. So if you want more information about any of these techniques, there's a lot more to most of them. So the first one that I wanted to share was this is a book, it's called The Gut Wellness Guide, and her previous book was called Unwinding the Gut. And it's a lot about breath and bringing breath and blood and oxygen into the abdomen. And I'm only going to share one of the breathing techniques that you'll find in this book. And the reason that I'm going to share this one is because I found it to be one of the most effective ways to switch your nervous system from that fight or flight into more towards the rest and digest, or the parasympathetic. So last time Rik had us doing breathing, and I'm going to bring us into that now, is just doing some belly breaths. So you might want to put your hands on your belly and just do some nice deep breaths into your belly. And notice that your hands rise and fall with that breath. And after a couple of breaths, see if you can hold your hands still. And instead of letting the breath push your hands out forward, see if you can let the breath go back into your back. It's hard to display because it's an internal thing. But holding your hands there and keeping your belly still and letting the breath go back into your back is really effective. And what you can do is let the breath go back into your rib cage and let your rib cage open in the back. It's just letting the breath go into the back side of you. So it's super simple, and the more you practice it, like all of these things, the more you can do it in the moment, like if you're upset somewhere. But you have to practice it before you get upset. You have to understand what it feels like to do back breathing and have practiced it so that you know what you're doing, so that when you are upset, you can have this technique available to you. And for me, it's been, I can feel my nervous system dropping down, dropping into this parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest. So that's the first one. Super simple, back breathing.
This is going to be another technique on how to move energy in your body. When we become stressed, a lot of times energy will rise up into the top part of the body, into our head, neck, and shoulders. We feel frantic, we feel agitated, we feel anxious. So any techniques which will help to circulate energy in the body and help to balance and harmonize the energy flow throughout the body will be very helpful in relieving stress and helping us to drop into that parasympathetic nervous system. So for this one, you just want to maybe start by standing up, hands at your side, just slightly off to the side so that you're not resting against your body, but not holding them out stiffly either. And you can do this with your eyes open or your eyes closed, but just try to feel the energy in your body. As I was saying, a lot of times when we're stressed or anxious, the energy tends to rise up into the upper parts of the body. And sometimes visualizing our body as a French coffee press. You may have seen those where you take the plunger and it moves everything down to the bottom. So if you can use a metaphorical plunger to bring your energy from the top of your head down into your abdomen, your arms, your legs and feet. . Just taking a moment to really feel the circulation of energy throughout your entire body. Your toes. It's sometimes said that our bodies are conduits between heaven and earth, the energy of heaven and earth. So if you like, feel the energy of heaven coming into your crown chakra, the top of your head, and coming in from Mother Earth to the soles of your feet. Sometimes scrunching up your toes a few times will help you to really feel that connection to the earth. And you can take as long as you like with this whole process. For today's purpose, maybe we won't spend so much time here, but this alone can be a very effective process, very profound practice, just feeling the energy in your body. It has a great way of settling the energy and relieving stress. And even if you wanted to expand your energy outside your body, dissolve the imaginary boundary between energy inside the body and outside of the body, we can tap into a whole wealth of chi or energy. There's a whole universal energy field that exists all around us all the time, always available, free at no charge, available to everyone. So as you expand your consciousness outward, you can perhaps feel this energy field all around you. It's said to be a universal energy field, so it extends as far as your consciousness will take it. And then another way to move this energy. It's said that we have 3 brains in the body. We have our cranial brain, which we're all very familiar with. It's kind of the intellectual center of the body. We have our heart brain, maybe considered to be the emotional center of the body, dealing with emotions, etc. And then you have your gut, which is a lot of times called the second brain by many people pioneering this kind of research into the gut and its effect on consciousness. There's a very direct link through the vagus nerve and other energy systems in the body between your gut and your brain. We all know that when we get upset or nervous, it affects our gut function, our stomach function. We get a nervous stomach. But even beyond that, there's a very profound link between the brain and our, sometimes called the second brain in the gut. And when we want to activate those or harmonize those 3 centers or 3 brains, we can start by just placing our hands at the level of our cranial brain and try to feel the energy between your hands. Again, I was talking about this kind of universal energy that's all around. Well, it's also present between your hands. And if you put your attention there, you may be able to feel it. If you don't feel it, don't worry. It's there whether you feel it or not. And then we'll do 6 inhalations. And with each inhalation, we try to expand this feeling of energy between our hands. So you breathe in, expanding the hands slightly. And then as we exhale, they come back together. And maybe you feel a little bit more energy developing between your hands now. Breathe in, expand out with the hands. Exhale. Breathing in, exhaling out. With each inhalation, you may be able to spread your hands a little bit wider and still feel the connection between the hands. It's like a conduit or a charge moving between your 2 hands. And you can do this as many times as you like. I like to do it 6 times. And then at the end of the 6th time, you may feel kind of a ball of energy in your hands. And then you bring your hands closer to your head and surround your brain with these hands, which have now been charged with this universal chi energy. And see if you can feel it as like a circle, and you're imbuing your brain, this first of the 3 brains, with this kind of heavenly universal chi energy. Nourishing and strengthening and relaxing that center of the body. And then moving down, we do this same process in front of the heart. Breathing in as the hands expand. Coming back together, feeling that current between the hands. And then as before, we take this collected ball of energy and bring it in close to our hearts. Let it imbue your heart center, kind of circling around your body like a ball, penetrating slightly inside as well as outside. And feel your heart being nourished and energized and harmonized. For 3 breaths. And now we'll do it for the lower of the 3 brains, the gut level. Again, breathing in, hands separate, stretching out this current. Bringing the hands together, trying to feel that ball of energy, that energy conduit between your hands. And then as before, bring your hands back to the level of the gut, or the lower belly. Try to draw that energy into your belly, your second brain, harmonizing, energizing. And then at the end of that, we just take our hands together, one hand over the other, and rub it on your forehead, the first brain. I like to do 9 circles. Then at the level of the heart, another 9. Then at the level of the belly, another 9. Clockwise direction again. This helps us smooth out and release the energy so it doesn't become stuck in any one place. And then after doing that, you can return to that initial posture. Just see if you feel the energy a little bit more relaxed, flowing a little more easily and freely throughout your entire body. And if you get stiff, certainly you can move from one side to the other. You don't have to stand perfectly still if you don't want to. Anything that's comfortable. There's no absolute way to do this correctly. So again, just by circulating the energy, strengthening the energy, harmonizing the energy can help a lot with stress accumulating in any one particular of the body and creating problems with anxiety or unhelpful emotions.
So speaking of energy in the body, I have a girlfriend named Deborah Myers, and she's created this wonderful, she's a Jitsu practitioner, and that works with energy flows, and she's put together a really super simple flow of acupressure. And I'm only going to share with you one small part of her whole flow that she does. And she's created these little booklets. One is for grown-ups, and one is for parents and their kids, and then she also has one for teachers and their students. And she's gotten just amazing feedback about how the kids settle and can take in information more because their energy has been settled and the flows in their body have actually been cleaned out. And that's why she calls it Daily Clean Your House Flow. So the last bit of her routine is called the jumper cables, and this is very common. It's part of Jitsu is the jumper cables. And the jumper cables is holding each one of your fingers. And each finger represents an emotion. And last talk that we did, I shared with you doing opposites. So what I've done is I've added the opposites to the jumper cable practice. So there's an acronym, get rid of worry fast. So worry is the thumb. Or it could be get wisdom fast. So worry turns into wisdom. So if you hold your thumb, and if you're really worried about something, you can hold your thumb and think about what you're feeling worried about, and then letting that worry transform into a wisdom. And as you calm your system and as you open up that channel for that worry can clog up, then the wisdom can flow through. So get rid of worry fast, the fast is fear. So holding your first finger is fear. And you let that fear, whatever it is, turn into freedom. Freedom of fear. Freedom to do what you need to do. Again, get rid of worry fast to the F-A. So the middle finger is anger. No wonder we use this finger. little did we, these ancient teachings know that we'd be using it in modern culture as a hand mudra. So this is anger, and anger moves into alignment or clarity. You know, when you get angry, things get really clear. So if you can let go of the anger itself and let the clarity be there, let the alignment be there. And then the next one is sadness. So fast. So get rid of F-A-S-T. So this is sadness, and that turns into surrender. And surrender isn't collapsing. Surrender is accepting what is, and as you accept it, then that information can come for what you need to do about it. And then the last one, which I use a lot, is too much, being overwhelmed. And when I start feeling overwhelmed, I grab my pinky, and I've done it enough now that I use this a lot, depending on the situation. But so from feeling like you're overwhelmed or you have too much to do, that turns into trust. And just feel that feeling of like, oh, I've got too much, and then trusting that it's all going to get done, trusting that the right timing is going to be there, the trust. So I find the jumper cables really helpful. Worry to wisdom, fear to freedom, anger to alignment, sadness to surrender or courage. It's also being courageous in meeting your sadness, and too much going into trust. And if you get a chance, go on Deborah's website, and she has a beautiful little video that explains all of this, and it's really short, so it's good to watch. Now Rik's turn.
Okay, so we've been through quite a few techniques now, so we're getting perhaps a little bit more esoteric, at least I am with this one, but it's something that I use daily. I'm a Tibetan Buddhist practitioner, but this doesn't have to be used with Tibetan Buddhism by any means. It's a mantra, the technique of mantra. Mantra is a sacred sound, syllable, or group of words with a sacred or spiritual powers. And it may be melodic, have literal meaning, or simply sacred sound, which is spiritually uplifting. It previously began about 3,000 years ago in Vedic India. So it's been used in Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, Taoism, Catholicism, Zoroastrianism. It's been used widely throughout the history of humanity in many, many different settings and many, many different mantras. So, if you could just do something very simple from maybe the Catholic tradition, you could just repeat many times over and over, God is love, God is truth. Make up your own mantra that you like, but by coming up with something that's a positive voicing like that, it can turn stress and anxiety into worry, and it can put something positive into your mind stream. The actual definition of mantra, if you break it down into its syllables, man means mind and tra means protection. So mantra is a kind of mind protection, protects us from the negative states of mind which we may fall into when we become worried or depressed or anxious, etc. So it can be used as an antidote to that and a way to turn that negative energy into something positive. Probably one of the most famous mantras is just a single word mantra, which is Om. Om is actually made up of 3 syllables: the A syllable, which corresponds to the body, the U syllable, which corresponds to speech, and the M, which corresponds to the mind. So when you recite the Om mantra, you're using the sacred vibration of that word to energize and activate different centers in your body, which has a very healing and uplifting and spiritually conducive effect. So you would, if you wanted to use Om, you would just silently, you could just say it to yourself, or you could just simply, repeat one breath per time. So that's just an example. There's many recordings of that syllable. It helps have your voice warmed up, etc. I wasn't doing a particularly fantastic job of it, or even trying to, but it's just an example of the way sacred sound or mantra can really help to benefit you in times of stress or worry, which takes us out of our parasympathetic system and puts us into a sympathetic fight or flight syndrome, which is where we don't want to be. We want to be in the more calm, relaxed mode of being. There's one more mantra which is very famous. The Dalai Lama does it all the time. It's a very famous mantra used in the East. It's Om Mani Padme Hum, which you may or may not be familiar with. Om again, is that same syllable I was just talking about. Mani refers to a jewel. Padme refers to the lotus blooming from the mud, from our defiled or unpurified self. So we bloom this lotus of wisdom. And then Hong is the fourth syllable in this mantra, or fourth word in this mantra, which corresponds to the union of body, speech, and mind. So we unify our body, speech, and mind in a very harmonious and uplifting and spiritually conducive manner by repeating this particular mantra of Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. So you see a lot of people, they use a rosary or a mala. You've probably seen Christian or Catholic monks in paintings or whatever, maybe Taoist or Buddhist monks in paintings or movies or whatever, and they're counting like this. It's just a way to tune their mind to something spiritually uplifting, a numinous kind of current that will help to dispel worry, help to dispel negative thought patterns, and help to bring you into a state of greater ease and comfort and harmony. So mantra, something you can explore. There's many examples of it on YouTube and everywhere else. But it's a technique which I find to be very helpful. I use it repeatedly throughout the day to try to attune myself to a higher vibration, one that's free from stress and worry and anxiety.
So this one I use, and it's called the Power Stance. Amy Cuddy, she has a TED Talk about it. And they've done a lot of research. Actually, maybe I'll talk about the research first. So in a 2-minute stance, this power stance, the power stance is either with your hands on your hips or, so it's kind of like Superman or Wonder Woman. It's a stance of power. And I've done this before I had to give a talk or before I had to do something. I will go in the bathroom and just stand and do the power stance. And what they found in the research is that a 2-minute stance increased, the people who did the power stance, it increased their testosterone by 8%. And people who did the low power, like more of a stance like this, their testosterone went down 10%. And for the power stance, the cortisol, the cortisol is the part of the adrenal or part of the adrenal glands that creates the fight or flight. So when people do the power stance, their adrenaline or their cortisol actually goes down, and the people in the low power stance, it would go up. And when I looked this back up just to get my statistics right, there were so many testimonials about musicians before they went on to perform, or people who had to give talks. And then the one that was most remarkable was people going for job interviews. And there was a much higher percentage of people getting the jobs that they did the power stance before the interview. So it's super simple, and you can do it. You probably don't want to go into a job interview and stand there like this. You want to do it before you go into the job interview. But yeah, I've gone into bathroom stalls and done the power stance, and it actually has a physiological result in our bodies, lowering those stress hormones that create stress. So we hope that these things are helpful for you. And again, if you find that one of these really resonates, then there's a lot more backstory to all of these techniques, both in this talk and the last talk that we did. And you can always call us and ask us too, Rik and I.
Absolutely.
We're happy to help.
First tool with the back breathing.
Mm-hmm.
So can you go over that again? I wasn't
Yes.
quite getting it.
Yeah. So what you do is do belly breathing, right? So
Do
when
you want to say more about that?
Belly breathing?
What that is?
Yeah, I wasn't
That's
sure what you
really-
meant either when you were saying it.
Okay, so when you breathe, you can either breathe in your chest, right? So when so feel where your breath expands. And if it's in your chest, then try to see if you can drop it down to your belly and let your belly expand when you breathe in, when you inhale. Maybe if I stand up, it's easier.
So you want your hand to expand. You want
Yeah,
to
you want your hands to go in and out.
Okay.
So as you inhale,
So that's bringing the breath all the way down to the belly instead of just the
just in
chest.
your chest.
Okay.
Mhm. So once you get the belly breath, then what you do is you hold your hands still and you don't let them expand out with your inhale. So where does it go? It goes into your back, right? So, I mean, you can't really see it on me. But I can feel it. And when I've had other people, when I've taken them through it, I can see people's faces light up. They'll go, oh, I can feel it. And you actually feel your breath. It's almost like your back is expanding instead of your belly. We're very familiar with our breath expanding the front of our body.
So you don't let your hand come out with
Right.
your breath?
Right. So that's letting the breath. So as you inhale, since you're not letting it go out
Oh.
forward,
You make it go
you
backward.
make it go backwards.
I've had teachers, meditation teacher and a Tai Chi teacher, and they both had me feel their lower back when they breathed in. They were trying to do this purposely, but you could really feel their back expand.
Expanding.
Huh.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
not just a feeling, but it's actually the muscles are also expanding
Right.
in the back.
It's hard
I
to
see.
see that on me.
It takes a little practice,
But-
but you can actually.
And you can put your hands back there and expand into your hands
that's
as well.
that's a better way to feel it
Yeah.
happening. I
Yeah.
think
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
it's easier to feel it then if you put your hands back there.
Yeah. Although I've
Yeah.
people that I've taught this, it's been effective to keep your hands still and push it into the back too.
Okay.
Yeah. And it really flips your nervous system. It really is effective. And I like it because I can feel it. I can feel it changing.
And you can feel it more than breathing into your hand
Mm-hmm. I do.
and breathing out.
Yes.
You feel it more when you push it back into
Into
your
my back.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So if I'm getting upset or impatient or frustrated, and I can start feeling that
Yeah.
energy going up, I can and you don't have to put your hands there. You can once you're used to doing it, you can feel it in the back. And the other one I use is the coffee press. That's been a really good one for me. So whatever way helps you get your energy, because what happens when we get upset, everything comes up here, and it's like a volcano that wants to erupt. So what we want to do is we want to push that, or at least certainly invite that energy back down into our lower body. We want it to be down in the dantian, or the center of our body. Rik went into that on the last talk that we did. And so anytime that you're feeling like the energy's rising, think about your feet, think about your lower belly, breathe into your back, breathe, feel your back, feel the bottoms of your feet. Because we're so used to functioning this way, right, out into the front. So if we can bring our energy back and down, it's going to help us be able to make more calm decisions. And physiologically, it actually changes us.
And it can also be described as just a way to get a fuller breath. You're not just using the front, you're using the front and the back together.
I
When
see.
we become nervous, you get that shallow kind of breathing, that almost like a panting, and you're just breathing from your thoracic muscles and your chest cavity there, which is a very inefficient way to breathe because you're not using your diaphragm then. And your lungs actually expand and contract passively. Your diaphragm pulls down and then the lungs fill up, and then the diaphragm comes back up and the air is naturally expelled. So you're not really using these muscles unless you're sprinting or really needing extra air, and then you want to use your intercostal muscles and your rib cage to get a little bit extra expansion. But just in normal breathing, you don't want to be breathing from up here. You want to be breathing from down here in your lower center. It's a much better, more efficient way to breathe. You get a fuller breath, much less energy used. It's just better in so many ways. It also helps to exercise your internal muscles when you belly breathe a little bit. They're getting a little bit of expansion and contraction too, and that helps with the liver, the pancreas, the stomach, all those things get a little bit extra circulation and movement and suppleness through breathing from your abdomen. It has many benefits.
Yeah. And again, this is just one part. Allison Post, she does a beautiful job of bringing all of the breath all the way around. So in this, you also can, as you breathe in, you can literally pull out your rib cage so that you can get blood and oxygen to your liver, into your spleen, into your stomach. And so there's a whole practice just on breathing in the belly, breathing into your torso, and but the back breathing has been the one that I can feel the biggest difference with. So that's why I wanted to share it.
So belly breathing, and you were talking about our brain in our gut. Is there any connection there, or?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yes, because as you bring oxygen and blood to your belly, it's going to make your belly healthier.
Right.
And
calmer.
And calmer.
Right.
But there's also a direct correlation between the cranial brain and the gut. And they used to think that the information was going from the brain to the gut, and there's actually more information going from the gut to the cranial brain. So it's a two-way street.
There's a direct connection.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they're very interconnected.
So Rik, when you say you practice the mantra daily, how long will you do that, or does it depend?
It depends, but if I'm doing a meditation session where mantras are involved, I may do it for an hour or two.
And that's a focused meditation. But it may be that you do it during the day if you're feeling uptight.
Absolutely.
And then you may do it for
10 seconds,
10
a couple
seconds.
minutes.
I see.
Walking to the mailbox and back. Driving in the car, another very good time. Just a way to get my mind out of a negative state and change its pattern.
And so it doesn't matter what mantra you use.
Doesn't really matter what mantra, no. It really doesn't matter.
Okay.
I mean, so I think it's better that people pick something that means something to them. If you have something that resonates with you, of course, it's going to have more of an impact.
Right.
So you have to choose that for yourself.
Uh-huh.
Or sometimes you'll have a spiritual teacher; they'll choose a mantra for you. But it's not necessary by any means. You can this Om Mani Padme Hum, the one that I was mentioning, that one's, like I say, widely distributed, and many people do that. So it doesn't have to be from any particular tradition. You can make up your own mantra. Just it should be something positive, obviously.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not going to be too effective if it's a negative one. But
Right,
when we go hiking and stuff, we'll go, let's do some mantras, and we'll just, and
Out loud?
we can do them out loud or to ourselves, or,
Yeah.
And so when you're practicing at home, do you do it out loud? Do you say
Well,
it out loud?
we
But very quietly.
Quietly.
You want it to,
Perhaps as quietly as
Question.
only you can hear it.
yeah, you want it to
From your
stimulate
mouth to
the
your
voice,
ear
yeah.
and your ear only. But sometimes you can say it louder too.
I see.
And sometimes you can kind of sub-vocalize it and just say it under your breath too.
And there's some that have,
It's more the intention and the vibration. So if you get a little bit of breath flow, you're creating a vibration in the vocal cords, and that's what's thought to resonate throughout the entire body.
Ah.
So it is helpful to do that, to incorporate the breath, so you get some kind of vibration.
and a lot of the mantras have been put to tunes too. When you hear Om Mani Padme Hum, there's,
They can be sung as well.
yeah,
that's right.
I've heard
Oh,
them.
I see.
I've heard them sung a lot of different ways. So,
But it's an age-old technique that I don't think we use so much in our culture anymore. But it's been used a lot.
and they call sometimes they'll call the malas or the rosary worry beads. Because there's something physiological about pulling the beads.
Well, it's said that because then you get your body with the beads, and you get your speech, and then your mind. So if you have body, speech, and mind, it's
I
thought to
see.
incorporate your entire system,
I see. That makes sense.
psychophysical system.
Yeah.
So you both use these tools.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All of these.
Yeah, all of these.
Yeah.
I think, yeah. I think, I have so many tools, so I was a little kind of running out today. Like, what more do I have? I already gave you my all-star ones. How many more do I have?
Well, no, these are all stars too.
These are all-stars too. I don't mean to be saying these
Yeah.
aren't any good. Because, like I say, I use this one all the time. But I don't know how applicable it is to everybody. But, yeah, we use these all the time. Absolutely.
Yeah, there's
because there's
plenty of
some-
opportunity.
Yes, there is. Yes, there is. Well, that was enlightening, and I like the idea of it's a sampler, and what may
Yeah.
work for somebody may not work for
Absolutely.
somebody
Yeah.
else. But
Yeah,
That's
if you
right.
get one nugget, if I
Yeah.
go to a workshop or something and I get one thing that I can take
Right,
away,
right.
I am so happy,
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So, and again, it's, if you want to go deeper into any of these, there's more to it.
Yeah, these are pointers or techniques, and if any of these help you just a little bit to get a little less stressed out, a little less anxious, and a little bit more in your parasympathetic system, then we'll be happy.
But folks could call you if they wanted
Sure.
to learn more, and you could teach on a deeper level.
We can
Yeah.
definitely teach on a different level, and I incorporate a lot of these techniques in my acupuncture practice, and Karla does in her practice as well. So,
Okay,
Yeah.
that's great to know.
yeah.
Good. Thank you both so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.